Hello there. Now you might be wondering why there's a huge TARDIS-shaped box on my bed with the words Doctor Who, the 11 Doctors figure set written on it. Well, I can actually tell you right now. A few weeks ago, I had a birthday, and I traveled out of town, actually, in order to celebrate that. And, a lot of people have given money by family on their birthday as a gift instead of an actual present. And usually, or especially around my birthday, I tend to be very practical about things I do. But I saw this, and looking at Amazon.com, always wanting to have this, but never really having the bucks, frankly, I saw this in a store called Newbury Comics for, oh, I would say $30 or $40 less than it would have been online. And I should note, I believe that it's out of print as well. And this is exactly what it appears to be. This is the 11 Doctor figure set. It's shaped like a great big TARDIS. Now let me open this up and show you what's inside. These are handcrafted figures of every single actor thus far to play the character of the Doctor. I was amazed by the articulation of these action figures. I've always enjoyed collecting action figures. Actually, they've mostly been Star Trek. Now, alone, these action figures are, about, I would say, $20, $30 a piece in America, but taken together, they are actually still in the very early part of the triple digits. That is in the, let me just say it's in the $120 range. You do the math. It makes a lot more sense to do this. These are all the 11 Doctors to play it so far. Now, I'll show you each individual one. And I should note that because this is Doctor Who we're talking about here, theoretically, each of these figures represent the exact same character. That's the unique thing about the show. The idea that the character can have many faces but still be basically the same. Now, the first one presented here is right there. The first Doctor, as played by William Hartnell. I'm sorry you can see me with the webcam over here, but best I can do on short notice. This version of the Doctor was an elderly character, somewhat grandfatherly, and also somewhat of a curmudgeon. He often seemed irritated by even his most helpful companions. Now this man next to him, in the middle here, is the second Doctor, as played by actor Patrick Troughton. This Doctor wore baggy clothes, and they call him a cosmic hobo because he had a Charlie Chaplin-like quality. He sometimes was known to run away from monsters and jump over explosives and seemingly be quite scared, but he seemed to emphasize the idea that just because somebody ran away from danger does not mean that they were being cowardly. Often, even with the monsters he ran away from, he seemed to understand exactly who they were and what he was doing. So he kind of brought a new spin to how people can react to emotion. Unfortunately, in the show, he was exiled to Earth for interfering in the laws of time and became this man. The third Doctor is played by Jon Pertwee. I should note that all three of these men are now deceased in real life. However, Jon Pertwee was quite a lot different from the other two Doctors. He was more like a James Bond, more of a man of action and mystery. He loved gadgets. He had a hot car called the Who-mobile. He had his own hovercraft. And actually, he helped introduce another character to the show, a renegade Time Lord known as the Master, played by Robert Delgado, originally, who appeared, the late Robert Delgado, who appeared during his run on the show. Now, when most Americans, anyway, think of Doctor Who, they think of this man, Tom Baker. He had a long hat, long scarf, long coat, jelly babies. This Doctor was more of a bohemian, more unpredictable, and obviously the most alien-looking, and actually the perfect subject for an action figure. In fact, he might have been the first Doctor Who to have been an action figure, if I see things correctly. The man next to him, up until recently, was the youngest man to play the role, Peter Davison nee Moffat, who played the role from 1982 to 1984. Now, this particular Doctor was a lot more vulnerable than the others and had more humanity to him, perhaps being the youngest. And he also wore a stick of celery on his lapel. Now, there's a reason for that. He wore a cricket outfit, but the fact of the matter is that celery served some significance for him, and later on also some comic relief with another doctor in a special called Time Crash. I want to check that out. Now, I know this may seem odd to some of you Doctor Whovians or hooligans or whatever. This is actually one of my favorite doctors, Doctor Number 6. He looks so different from the other doctors. He acts so different from the other doctors. He wears a different outfit. He was played by Colin Baker. The show was under a lot of scrutiny when he played the role, and unfortunately, he was so far the only actor to play the Doctor who actually got fired from the role. This Doctor was not as shy to commit an act of violence if necessary, and sometimes he had a really, really bad attitude, especially toward his companion Perry. But underneath it all, you definitely have this impression the Doctor cared, but was just really, really no nonsense in this incarnation. He was actually fired, so he didn't have a chance to actually appear in his own regeneration sequence. That regeneration is how all these Doctors go from one to the other. To this man, Sylvester McCoy. Now, he was the last man to play the Doctor in his original run. He usually wears a hat, but he doesn't have one here, just an umbrella. Sylvester McCoy is more like some of the earlier Doctors, more moral and more inclined to use humor to make his points than outright aggression. This man here, I'm glad they represented him. He played the 8th Doctor Who, and his name was Paul McGann. And he only played the role on television once in a TV movie designed as a backdoor pilot in America for the Fox network. This was the only Doctor to actually have any type of genuine romantic connection to his companion, in this case Grace Holloway. And he was also claiming to be half human. There's a lot of controversy about this Doctor, but he was the last Doctor to actually remain alive at the same time as the other Time Lords, because when they relaunched Doctor Who, and Christopher Eccleston here took over as the 9th Doctor, there were no more Time Lords. They had died in a time war with the Daleks, and the 8th Doctor had to witness this in the transition to the 9th. So the 9th was a very tortured Doctor, but at the same time, he provided kind of a father figure to his companion, Rose Tyler. And he regenerated into the 10th here. Now, I have to admit this. I don't know if you can call a guy a Whovian who's only been into the show for 6 months, but that's me. And I do consider myself a Whovian because I absorb a lot of information fast. I do. This man's Doctor Who I have not gotten into beyond YouTube videos. This is David Tennant. From what I understand, he's one of the more popular people to play the Doctor in its most recent incarnation. And during his time, they even brought back the 4th Doctor's old companion, Sarah Jane Smith, to be a supplicant companion with him. And now he regenerated into the man who's currently the Doctor, the 11th incarnation, played by Matt Smith. Now, like I said, I don't know a lot about these other 2 Doctors, but it's still great to have this set. Now, I know that a lot of people tell me, if you keep action figures in their original container, they'll have a lot more value. But that's not why I get these kind of things. I love displaying them. I love actually doing things with them. And I've noticed some great YouTube fanfiction videos where they utilize the action figures from this series to actually make their own little Doctor Who stories, which I think is a brilliant idea. So I intend to take these out of the package, but I'm going to keep the package to display them in. You know, and that way perhaps there'll be some value, and I can actually use them. And, you know, after all, what's the fun of having a toy if you can't even play with it? And, you know, adults like toys, and sometimes they like the same kind of toys that kids do. I see it all the time. Parents actually like to play with their kids' toys sometime. And to be honest, I have been too practical lately, and, you know, if there's one overriding message of Doctor Who, as the 4th Doctor, played by Tom Baker, might say, what's the point of being grown up if you can't be childish once in a while? Well, anyway, that's my one collection in a TARDIS box. Talk to you all later.